Well, it was probably, it's hard to believe, but it was probably close to 20 years ago, back when I lived in Stillwater. And I just started figuring out this back way to my house that was a little faster, and got off on these back roads. And I noticed out in the weeds one day, and I'd driven by this place several times, but I noticed in the weeds, just saw the roof line of a car, and I thought, man, I bet that's a Vega. And it was like several days before I had driven by there again. And but I finally went by there, and I was just about to went past it, and I remembered to look over there, and I slowed down, and sure enough, it was this Vega just sitting off in the weeds, and it was just rusted, very little paint left on it, but it did have these mag wheels on it, and I thought, man, I wonder if somebody has put a V8 motor in that. So I went on by it that day, and it was a few days later, and I thought, I'm going to stop in there and I'm going to ask this guy about it. So stopped in, I knocked on the door, and there wasn't anybody home. And so I went on out there. I walked on out there and took a look at it, and sure enough, there was already a hole cut in the hood. All I had to do was just lean over and look, and sure enough, there was a small block Chevy in it. And so I thought, man, I'd really like to have this car. I hope the guy's not asking too much. And so I wrote out a note on a Post-it note, and I stuck it on his door. And I'd almost forgot about it. And it was probably a week later, and I just get this phone call. He said, hey, my name's, I can't remember his name now, but he said, this is the guy with the Vega. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I asked him what he had done to it, and he said, I put that motor in it, and he said, it's been sitting out there for a while. I just kind of, lost interest in it, and so I asked him, I said, well, is it for sale? Yeah, it's for sale. I'll sell it for what I got in it. I said, well, how much is that? And he said, I'll let it go for $500. I said, all right, man, when can I come pick it up? He kind of laughed, and so we set the date and time, and I took a trailer out there, and I got to talking to him when whenever I was picking the car up, and he started telling me the story about how he had built it right there at his house. I think a V8 kit, and then he machined the rotors and made the transmission cross member and some stuff like that. But he did a lot of work on it there at his house, and he put the rear end in it. So he gets it all put together and takes it out in front of his house. Gets it all running, and everything's good. He takes it out in front of the house, and he said he got on it, and he said, man, it was like it went to one ditch and then the other, and then he actually ended up in the ditch about a block away from his house. And he said that he pulled it back in there and parked it right back where it was sitting, and he never drove it again. He said it just scared the shit out of him, and he did not want that car. And so I laughed about it, and I took it to the house, put some fresh gas in it, and got it running. And it ran okay, but I hadn't had it running maybe 10 minutes or so, and the mains started knocking. And so anyway, some time had passed, and moved from Stillwater back here to Blanchard. And after I'd been here maybe a couple of weeks or a month or so, I was having a hard time money wise, and ended up selling the Vega to a friend of mine. And he was, had these big plans for it, and of course he didn't do anything with it. It ended up back out behind his house, out in the weeds, and it was just rusting away again. And he had the car for maybe a year, and I was out there one day, and I asked him, I said, man, are you ever going to do anything with that car? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I probably will one of these days. And I had this big block Chevy that I'd built up with a tunnel ram and had some good stuff on it. I said, look, I'm getting tired of messing with this motor in this truck. And there's Barbie the barn cat. But I got tired of messing with that motor and trying to make that truck go, and I wanted a car again. I said, look, tell you what, I'll trade you that 454, trade you back for that Vega. And he's like, yeah, that's cool, that's a deal. He wanted that motor pretty bad. So I got the Vega back, and it was supposed to be, originally it was going to be a 350 small block, 350 transmission, little street car, tire burner, something to take out and have some fun. And then one day, my best friend Tracy Hooper, he had this Buick Grand National that he had been working on. It was starting to run pretty quick, and he told me that he was going to outrun me with that 6-cylinder car. And that just didn't set too well. And so the battle began. Tracy kept making his car go faster. I kept adding stuff to the Vega. And man, it ended up where I was stripping the car down. I bought a 671 blower, put it on a small block 400 with aluminum Brodix heads. And it got pretty out of hand there for a while. We got right down to low tens. And we basically ran out of money. Kind of spent each other dry. I'd blown up several motors, and it was just starting to become a lot of work. It was a grind. The money flow just kept, the money kept going out. And so that deal kind of fizzled out for a little while. And then I kind of got the bug to go racing again, and bought a motor from a buddy of mine, made probably 6 or 7 passes on it, and it blew up in the traps. I was running somewhere around 130, and it shotgunned the oil pan, had oil going everywhere. That was a lot of money that was lost in a big hurry. And I was so upset about that, I parked the car, and it sat for, it was like 3 or 4, it could have been 5 years that it just sat, and I would not touch it, didn't mess with it. But I told Tracy that day that I blew that last motor. I said, that's the last small block. I'm done. I'm tired of it. And he asked me what I was going to do, and I said, well, when I put the car back together, it's going to be a Buick V6. I'm one of them V6s. And so then I got together with my wife, Heather, and I took her to the races one night, and that was it. She was hooked. The smell of the race fuel and burning rubber, every time we go, still to this day, she has to go downwind of the burnouts so she can get a smell of the smoke. And but she really wanted me to put that car back together, and she had never seen anything. She had never seen me drive anything that I'd built. So I did. Got a hold of Tracy, and we got a V6 together. It's basically a stock block motor, and put a good tune on it, and that's where we're at now. Las Vegas saved his best pass for the last pass of the season. 969 at 138. We got it loaded up. Gonna take it back to the Las Vegas ranch tomorrow. Gotta go see a man about a motor.